Hey guys, what's up? I am bringing to you another run through of a game series. I just got this one in, just did the unboxing a few days ago. Uh, Maybe a little longer than that, sorry. This one is called Ravage, Dungeons of Plunder. So if you haven't seen the unboxing video with all the components, go back and check that out. This is a dungeon crawl with a little bit of a twist, 1 to 5 players. But the twist is you're actually not the good guys in this one. You're the orcs. So you're going through a dungeon, looting and pilfering whatever you can get, which is kind of interesting. First time took first kind of version of a dungeon crawl I played like that. So you can kind of run into heroes too, some regular guys. We'll talk about that later here. All right, so I've got my components. We're just going to go kind of through the setup here. Now, this setup that I'm going through, we're going to be playing the solo mode first, which is basically taking one hero only through the dungeon, very specific set of instructions on what you need to do, which is going through about 10 rooms, 10 delves, and then by that 11th room is when you're pulling the boss card and you're going to fight a boss and then escape the dungeon on the way or trying to get out with your life. So anyway, but the setup that I'm doing for the solo is the same setup that you're going to follow for the treachery mode, which is where you're versus other players, and then you have the fully cooperative mode, which can be up to like 5 players. Treachery mode is only for solo, is of course only 1 player, and then cooperative can be 4 players working together, or you can actually do 5. The 5th player playing the overlord, kind of taking some of that overlord artificial intelligence out, and making it player controlled. Enough said on that. Sorry, guys. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to you pick the mode you want to play. So we're doing solo. I've already talked about that. The next thing we need to do is start getting all of our decks and everything structured and set out and shuffled and all that. The character that I'm going to be going with for the solo run is we have the shaman, the headhunter, the cultist. My favorite, I always like the berserkers, any kind of a big warrior dude. So he's what I'm going to be going with. So we're going to set the other characters aside. And again, this is only for solo mode. Now, when I did the unboxing, I kind of bagged all components up depending on what. For each person has their own set of stuff. Like the cultist has all their own standees and cards and tokens and all that. So we're not doing the cultist. We're not doing the headhunter. We're not doing the shaman. So we can set these back in the box or throw them back in the box, whatever you want. We're going to go ahead for each character. I know they came with some let's see, reference cards. The only one I'm going to be using for this one is going to be the sequence of play card. The other backside is sequence of evil overlord. The other one's treachery, and this one is death and loot. We're not doing death because solo mode is if you die, that's it. So the only thing I need is the sequence of play, so I'll set that there, and I'll set this other card over to the side. I won't need that this game. The next thing I have is the player cards. We'll go through those in a minute. We have our standee, which we'll set that aside. We have our health token. We have our XP token. Our teeth tracking token. Our energy token. These are our +1 shield and +1 attack. This is if we have some special modifier. I just kind of gave 2 of these tokens per character, so they had them there. We have our loot token, but this is really only used during the regular mode where you die, but I just kind of put it with them anyway. We have another thing here. This is only used in treachery mode. Like I said, this is all the individual stuff I gave my character. And then the heart and soul of your character, which is going to be their cards that you use here. I want to look here. Somebody's got flipped. On the bottom, it's going to say who they're for, like Berserker. All right, these are all our Berserker cards, and then some have that special treachery word on them. Those are not going to be used for the regular game. These ones can go back in the box unless you're playing treachery mode, which we are not. So you start out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, but your hero card, you're only allowed to take 5 into the dungeon with you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you actually, at this point, you need to choose which ones you like, which ones you're going to go with. Now, the book does say what is recommended. So for Berserker, I think I'm just going to start that, make it easy for me. Berserker Axe is one, Warcry, Charge, Frenzy, and Hand Axe. These other two, I'm going to set aside, maybe play them for a future game some other time. All right, those are going to go on your card right here. In whatever order you want to choose. Sometimes I just set it up by like least to greatest, so it's easier for me to remember. I'll set that here. Your health token is going to go on your card on the number 5 spot there. Your energy symbol is going to start at a 2. You start with 2 energy for the game. You could put that loot token there. It really doesn't matter. Maybe use it for something else. I set these here to the side. Your teeth token here is going to go on a 0. And your XP token is going to go on the 0. All right, at this point, your character card is completely set up and ready to go. And I'm going to kind of put that off to the side. I don't need that treachery token here. All right, the next thing we're going to do is start working on our decks. The decks that we're going to be using for the entire game. All right, Sneaky Goblin. These are going to be all of the things that you can purchase, or maybe you get to draw some special things when you, like loot, basically. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle those up. Do it one more time. Okay, so we'll set those here. Next, we have the Seek Glory deck. These are going to be where our enemies and traps are coming from as we're going through the dungeon. Okay, so we draw that every time we place a new tile card, and I'll show you those here in just a second. This is, like I said, the heart and soul of what you're going to find in there. These are what you're going to come across and what's going to happen to you. Okay, so we have those all shuffled, ready to go. Next are our delve cards. Oh, I did want to say, it does recommend this in the rules, but for your Seek and Glory cards, if you want to make this a little bit easier for you, you're going to remove the 3 adventurers out of the Seek and Glory deck. Okay, so these are like the 3 human characters that you could run across in the dungeon, that they basically are enemies, but they're a little bit harder than regular enemies. So for this sake, first time running through it with you guys, I'm going to go ahead and remove those adventurers from the Seek Glory deck, and as well as your standees here that I have off to the side. I'm going to remove those because I know we're not going to need them. Okay, the delve card, or the delve cards here. There's a couple things you need to start with. The first thing is you need to find the start card here, because that's going to be what you're starting the game with. And then you also need to remove any of the room cards. I already removed those and put them in a special baggie. And you know them by each of the, there's special cards here that have names on them, like the Vines of Galmira. Okay, you have these cards here that show you what cards go in that. So unearthed cards. So this is the delve card that says unearthed, and then you have the unearthed cards. So these are special. The delve cards for the vines, you have the ones labeled vines. These are all basically the special room cards. These are only used in specific scenarios and specific quests. So you want to remove those and set those aside for the solo game. So the only cards that you have in there will be the regular cards. And there's also, for the solo game, you have this card here. This is your boss card. This is the one you'll be instructed, so you set that aside. The one you'll be instructed to place a certain number of cards down. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, since these are all the regular rooms or the regular tiles, we're just going to shuffle those. And then this one is going to be placed 10 cards down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one will go here, and these 10 cards will go on top. All right, so now we are shuffled with our Delve deck, our Seek Glory, our Sneaky Goblin. To the side over here, if you can see, I have all of my monsters and all of our figures that we may be pulling during the Delve over here. I have my dice, put them in the dice box. Next thing we have over in this pile, I'll kind of bring you guys closer to it. These are our tokens for our plunder tokens, or our treasure tokens. Now these are laid face down and they're shuffled. I pre-shuffled those. So we draw those when instructed, and we're doing a search for plunder action. These are our egg tokens. If we come across a rune that has like a spider egg, we have to put it on. And if at the end of the bloodshed phase or a particular phase in the round, we flip those over to see if there's actually a broken egg or a spider under them. Various trap tokens, poison tokens, some nest eggs, some wound tokens, and some other things that we'll place throughout the dungeon. Okay, so that pretty much covers all of the setup steps. All right, so this is pretty much fully set up and ready to go. Like I said, the first quest that I'm going to try to tackle for you guys is the solo quest. But again, everything I've talked about here is how you're going to set up the game for any one of those treachery mode, normal quests. Now, there are probably further instructions in each of the actual quests, but you'll have to read that after. These were just standard setup instructions for the game. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take you guys directly into the beginning of the solo run of Ravage Dungeons of Plunder.